The mask just fell off the Southern Poverty Law Center after the FBI and the DOJ had a press conference in which they indict the SPLC. Let's get right into it.
Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy.
Fighting white supremacy? That's laughable.
And racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. This conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group.
Amazing.
This is the revolving door of trauma. How the ruling class manufactures trauma to keep special interest groups in a state of fear. Well, the federal government just handed us the smoking gun. The mask fall off the SPLC. For decades, the Southern Poverty Law Center has been the gold standard for the Democrats to call who is and who isn't a hate group. They built massive war chest, taking millions from high-profile donors and major banks. Let that sink in, under the promise that they were dismantling extremism. But the recent indictment tells a much darker story. The FBI and DOJ are alleging that the SPL wasn't just watching extremist groups like the KKK and neo-Nazi organizations. They were funding them. The same group that should oversee or stop systemic racism, as they call it, were the ones who were funding them. Can anyone believe that? Allegedly. It seems like the SPLC is funding the neo-Nazis, the KKK, and other extremist group, because without those groups, they would be nothing. They wouldn't have any money in their coffers. According to the indictment by the FBI, all these are allegations by the DOJ and the FBI. Was the SPLC manufacturing the monsters? The indictment claims that between 2014 and 2023, the SPLC funded over $3 million to informants who weren't just low-level sources. They were leaders within the extremist group. So the FBI and the DOJ, they are alleging that the SPLC caused the trauma to vulnerable folks or minorities who are scared or feared. Groups like the KKK, the neo-Nazis, and Aryan nations. Trauma cause pain, pain cause hurt, and hurt cause irrational behavior, like what happened to Charlie Kirk, because of manufactured monsters created by, or allegedly created by, SPLC. And speaking of Charlie Kirk, we know that Candace Owens is going to come up and say this indictment of SPLC is another Trump up charge, and she's going to make up controversies to debunk the charges. Think about the logic we have discussed. Step 1, tell the public that white supremacy is around every corner. Step 2, take donations from folks who are scared of the threat. Step 3, allegedly pay the very people who they are, pay the very folks who they are calling the threat to keep the drama alive. And if they don't keep the drama alive, they're out of business. Out of business for them, meaning they can't collect any donations from Tim Cook, George Clooney, and Chase Bank. Those were some of the useful idiots who donated to the SPLC. I think George Clooney and Tim Cook donated $1 million each, and Chase Bank donation was $500,000. For instance, Charlottesville connection. Perhaps the most shocking part of the investigation involves the 2017 Charlottesville riots. Reports from the indictment suggest that an informant connected to the SPLC was part of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right rally and was allegedly paid over $270,000. If you want to know why, there were protesters from both sides clashing in a way that traumatized the nation and hurt the political opposition at the time. Look no further than the trauma managers themselves. They didn't just report on the mayhem. It looks like they helped set the stage. The moral of the story: the Democrats and their think tanks claim they want to solve victimization, but the SPLC case proves that victims or victimization is their business model. They use the money of the ruling class. The moral of the story: the Democrats and their think tanks claim they want to solve victimization, but the SPLC case proves that victims or victimization is their business model. They use the money of the ruling class. The Tim Cooks, George Clooney's, and Chase Banks of the world to found the very extremist groups they claim to hate, which is truly amazing. I mean, why? Because without a monster to fight, the SPLC has no reason to exist. Without a threat to protect you from the Democratic Party, loses its grip on its special interest groups. They created the victims. They manufactured the drama. And then they cried unfair treatment to get more donations. It's not a civil rights movement. It's a revolving door of manufactured trauma. The Minter Report isn't just about politics. It's about the truth behind the labels. Keep your eyes open. Key facts to remember for the video occurred in April 2026. includes counts of wire fraud and money laundering. They found in over 3 million allegedly paid to informants, the Fs, within groups like the KKK, Aryan Nations, and the National Alliance, the Splc Defense. They claim these were confidential informants used to gather intelligence for law enforcement. The DOJ stance. Acting AG Todd Blanche states the SPLC was manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose. That is all on the Minto report today, folks. Do remember to like, share, and subscribe. And catch you in the next one.